Pokemon Blue.
Pokemon Blue. Pokemon Azul.
So Terrell, you had a topic you wanted to bring up today.
Okay.
What?
So me and my female friend were talking earlier,
Female friend.
and it was this conversation of why isn't Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon just DLC for Sun and Moon instead of being a whole separate game? Because it seems kind of scummy that they're just trying to get another $40 out of the fan base instead of just charging like less for it to be a downloadable version and maybe like a physical version for those who just want the physical version.
Right.
Money.
Well, because
it's not just that, but let Terrell go first, and I'll.
No. I want y'all to go first. I want to hear the various responses.
Okay. I remember I spoke about this about a couple of years ago when we were talking about Sun and Moon originally, and about X and Y, and why wasn't there a Z, and why couldn't it be DLC? Well, it's partially because it's partially because GameFreak doesn't have a method of updating that actually adds content like Level 5 does with Yokai Watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because let me just make it clear that they had 4 major updates since the game came out, or 3 major updates since the game came out, and every single time you just install a package and it just adds to the game. Now, that of course breaks save files if you do not have the save data on the SD card. But they were able to find out, they were able to figure out a way to actually add content to a game. But I don't think Game Freak has that built into their engine. So that's probably one of the reasons why they didn't make it that way for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Because they think that, the amount of data that we probably would need to completely rewrite the game would be more than what a regular SD card can hold. A standard SD card. So, or the fact that they just want more money. but I think it's because of the former. I think it's because they do not have in the engine and the ability to add to like completely rewrite the game code, to give it access. Probably because they want to deter hacking, but it doesn't really matter because they have access anyway. They find a way to break. With I think. What was it? I'm trying to remember what the 3D shackers called the thing, but it was like lol encryption. I don't remember what the hell it is, but I think that's one of the reasons. But that's just my opinion.
Back then, in the days of like Crystal, Emeralds, and even Platinum, you could excuse that. Like, you could make an
because they were not. Yeah, because you couldn't write anything to the cartridge. You still can't.
But now, especially with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire having a Delta episode, Terrell's absolutely right. Like, there's no reason why there couldn't have been an Ultra episode.
Right.
Well, you know what? It really feels like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It felt like that's where they wanted to initially start with DLC, given the whole Battle Frontier kind of thing where they say coming soon and whatnot. But I feel like they really couldn't figure out a way to do the DLC properly without making it too big in terms of storing it on an SD card and whatnot. So they decided to just scrap it as a whole.
I think it was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's problem, because I believe the DLC was going to happen.
Right.
I think what really happened, though, was that Sun and Moon got announced, and they were coming out, and at that point, there was like, oh, well, there's no point, which drives into that topic that Terrell brought up. I think you brought this up way earlier, is that Pokemon's moving too fast.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't
believe that, look at Y2's release date to when XY got announced, and then tell me they're not going fast.
Yeah, that was the fastest I think we've ever gotten an announced game.
Well, here's the situation, because this is how the argument, this is how the discussion got heated. Was that because I could agree with the fact that it, I would be perfectly fine with it being a downloadable patch, but her response was like, well, why aren't you as mad about it, considering it's something that is pretty egregious? Like, why are you still buying the game brand new, even though it has that practice behind it? And I was kind of like, well, because Pokemon's had that tendency since its inception. Like it's already it's a game franchise and it doesn't justify what they're currently doing. But I'm saying, like, the reason why I'm not mad about it is because I'm kind of used to dealing with the shit. You know,
Right.
If I want to know, and honestly, I think it's less offensive now than it used to be, because when they did updates to like Emerald and Platinum, it was like really minor shit. At least here, I'm getting an alternate storyline, new cutscenes, and new gameplay mechanics. Could those things be DLC? Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I'm just kind of I guess in a way it's kind of proving the problem of, oh, you've been homogenized by the gaming industry to accept things that are bad. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's probably true.
Well, actually, I want to counterattack that, because now that you bring that up, I think the main reason why they can't do DLC is because by that time the DLC comes out, you probably could have maxed out your Pokemon all the way to level 100, making you just breeze through the entire DLC just like that, without really having any form of challenge along the way. Whereas if you were to buy it all brand new again, you have to start from the bottom and slowly rise your way to the top, you know?
I have a counter for that as well.
Okay.
I have a counter for that as well.
The third counter.
I counter your counter with my counter. Face down.
Counter.
Richie is an instigator. I love it.
Well, I mean, that's my job.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yokai Watch 3, the fourth update, it added, and especially the third update as well, it added a lot more post-game content and not just in the main game. So it didn't really matter at that point. Even if you started a new game, most of these stuff is usually post-game. So and post-game, and then the other modes like blasters or busters or blasters. So
shit! I beat Blaine. I better have a burn here. Oh, it's over. Never mind.
It's not relevant.
Okay.
But anyway, though, that's my counter argument for that, because if they were to do post game content, but they would have to do it in a way where levels don't matter, and I don't think that Pokemon can do that.
Well, okay, and I was just gonna say, Richie, and I believe you can vouch for this too, since we both do competitive play. We have to get Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon in order to keep up with the meta, correct?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the meta changes.
Exactly. Yeah, because
there's different regional variants.
Oh yeah, exactly. I kind of spoke about it briefly.
Yeah, and then obviously like Rock Dust Form and UB Adhesive and UB Burst and UB Assembly are in that game, so we have no choice but to get Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Which
even if we don't want to. Because
they literally just did. What did they do? They gave us 4 Ultra Beasts, one alternate form of a Pokemon, and then like a couple of new Z moves, which I don't think justifies for a completely new game. The Necrozma climax is different, and I'm sure that's gonna happen right when you use the flute, to bring Solgaleo Lunala. But in reality, what is it? An Ultra Space minigame that brings you to different Ultra worlds?
And
it's kind of like
I'm just gonna say also, it's like, well, that update data for like Yokai Watch 3 and all 3 versions, they included new stuff too, like new yokai, new games and other things. So again, it's a great argument, because you have 2 companies. You have Level 5 and GameFreak. Level 5 knows how to make an engine where they can just patch it, and then it adds new stuff without major consequence to the game itself.
Right.
As opposed to GameFreak, where I think they're afraid that if they patch something, they're going to break something else.
Which might be true, but the problem, I think, because I think one of the arguments I was thinking of that I don't think I even said was having the option of multiple save files. If you wanted to avoid the level issue that KG was bringing up, you create a secondary save file with the option to allow to play the DLC version or the main game version.
Right.
That way you can still enjoy the story content without ruining.
Yep. And you can do that in you can do that in Yokai Watch. Yeah, you could do that actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about. Yeah, that actually be really cool.
Well, then on top of that, the other issue is that why is it that GameFreak, a company that I would argue has probably more money, if not around the same amount of money, to work on their game engines, doesn't just develop a better engine that allows multiple save files and
Yeah, I was about to say.
Why don't they have a hard mode? Like fucking.
They do.
that.
Yeah, like a new game plus or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if they were to have made a new, like, let's say if New Game Plus was the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon content, then yeah, I can understand that. You'll have a save file for Sun, and then you'll have a save file for Ultra Sun. You know,
Right.
two completely different stories. But I feel like the reason why they don't do this is because this is gonna affect the whole trading and, you know, that type of stuff.
Chingana.
So if they do this kind of stuff where they give you multiple save files, you basically can find a way to work around this and kind of make, you know, cheat it yourself, you know.
I mean, but
get all
people have been doing
starters.
that
Here's the biggest argument. Here's the biggest
gonna-
argument to that. Here's the biggest argument to that. The 3DS platform is already busted wide open. So regardless of what's going to happen, there are going to be people that are going to be using those tools anyhow.
Yeah.
So
I would say even to
you
this
have
day,
to you have to
there's
wait until the Pokemon games get on a platform that isn't going to be compromised. Unfortunately, the Switch is not going to be one of them because it's already once Homebrew comes out for that, it's going to be game over too.
That's for every console, though. Every console's going to be like that, no matter what.
Not really though.
Are you sure?
The X-Bone doesn't really have anything.
Yet.
Yeah,
Xbox.
but I think part of the reason is because most of the games you can get on Xbox, you can get on PC.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty
yeah.
much what it is. I mean, you can get Forza 7 on freaking PC. even though it
Exactly. So
sucks.
why would people
And it's
decide to
better.
waste their time on something that they could just easily do on the PC right there, then create something for the console if all of the stuff
Well, you
in
can
the
say that
console
for
are...
well, you could say that for many things. So
That's
Well, yeah,
true.
yeah. But because my whole thing, because I think the key part of the argument that was kind of trippy is that people know that I'm known for I get tick off at stupid shit. So it's like, why is it with your favorite franchise, Pokemon?
You're just now learning Swift.
Why? Yeah, I don't.
Jesus.
Gen 1 is fucking stupid.
Yeah, Gen 1. Yeah.
But the
yeah.
point I was,
Stupid.
but the point my friend was making was like, why aren't you getting as mad
Gen
about
1,
this when it has something to do with your favorite franchise? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess it's because I've kind of gotten used to the way they do things.
Well, it's not even.
But
just
is that a
Like,
real answer though?
No,
No.
it's not.
No.
It's not a justifiable answer. It doesn't
Indeed, no,
justify.
indeed not.
But
It's
here's
just
the
not
thing.
justified. But it's like, oh, well, you get mad at all these other things that go on, but you don't get mad at this. And I'm like, because I don't know. It
Because you're
doesn't-
Well,
not
it's
used to
also
their
for collection
procedures.
purposes. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, you collect the games anyway, so.
Well, I'm a fan of the franchise, and regardless if it was DLC or not, I was gonna get it probably.
And
So.
Also, and I think you can make the argument, it's Pokemon. Pokemon is a game where you literally have 802 characters at your disposal to put on your team. So literally no game of Pokemon is ever the same. Like, anytime you play the game, it's never going to be the same experience each time. So, yeah, when they do release a new Pokemon game, yeah, it's something that literally they could have just added as DLC, but at the same time, you get it because you know the journey's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess from like,
That
I'm
doesn't justify why they shouldn't do it. I'm just saying
Nope.
there's a reason there.
just saying because like,
Doesn't mean the reason has to be good.
just to throw the question at you, Tyron, for someone who's a competitive battler who would have to get the game just for the Pokemon, and from what we've seen so far, it's not really worth it. Why doesn't that?
Nope.
Why doesn't it tick you off?
I mean, see, the thing is, it does tick me off to a degree, but it doesn't tick me off to the degree where I won't buy it because at the same time, like I said, the metagame relies on it. There's specific moves that you can only get if you play Ultra. Like, for example, in Pokemon Black 2, there's a move tutor that's only in Black 2 that teaches your Pokemon moves that they couldn't learn in Black 1 and White 1.
Completely
So
agree.
the only way I can get my Pokemon to learn those moves is to go to that tutor in Black 2 to compete in the next Pokemon Worlds. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Which, yeah, that puts me in a messed up situation, but at the same time, if I want to competitively fight, I need to be up to date with everything
Mhm.
that's going on.
So the reality, so what it really boils down to is that your love of the game and the franchise kind of, I wouldn't say overrides, but it's taken precedent over the minor inconvenience of spending money on a version you shouldn't have to spend money on.
Right.
Which brings the
And to
question
me,
if it's still a proper answer then,
and
because
to
No.
me, I believe.
Oh no, it's not. It's none of
none of them are.
I mean,
proper.
Pokemon is all about obsolescence.
Yeah. And Terrell, I believe the worst offender of this was Pokemon Platinum to me, personally.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Because Pokemon
Explain.
Platinum, all it did for real was make Pokemon Diamond and Pearl just somewhat a little bit more playable. I still had to deal with the same bullshit. I still had to deal with basically like all of the same trials and tribulations. I still had to deal with Team Galactic's very unbalanced plot. The only difference here is, we got a couple of different cutscenes here. You got a couple of regional variants, and Giratina and Shaman have 2 new forms.
oh, and there's snow in your hometown.
Oh, that's
so
true.
fun.
Well,
and you take off like 2 seconds off of the wild battle.
Yeah, and the surf time is a little bit faster.
But here's the thing, and here's the weird part of the argument. When I start bringing up how the old games had, because one of my arguments was the fact that the older games were worse about this, third or second version of a game than, like, I would say Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon or even Black 2 or White 2 was. The argument was then she was like, well, there wasn't DLC back then, so it was a little bit more, it's justified there. And I'm like, I don't think that, and my argument was, I don't think that's justified, because instead of making a third version of the game,
Pokemon Crystal had DLC. I'm just saying.
well, the argument I was going to say is that the third version, instead of working on a third version of the game, most people would have just preferred them working on a new generation.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, but they needed to do that for Stopgap.
Well, I know why they did it. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to have the argument against the new games, I feel like the old games aren't excused either just because they're older.
I can't wait for the day when Pokemon suddenly decides to go Pokemon Sun Complete or Pokemon Moon Complete, where it's like, this is the complete version of the game that you could...
No, the definitive edition.
HD, C++, Turbo, Arcade, Game of the Year.
It's so funny, KG, it's so funny you mention this, because I believe both Terrell and I have made separate videos about this. I think you made a video about this, Terrell, where Capcom is the biggest offender of this shit.
Yeah, that was actually...
That was you.
That was my recent video I put out called the Definitive Cycle. Was talking about that.
They will literally come up with Marvel vs. Capcom, and then they'll say, "Fuck you, Marvel vs. Capcom Ultra Super Deluxe Chocolatey Arcade Edition, the remix." And I'm like, dude, what? That means all the DLC I bought. You're literally making me get a new game.
I mean, Street Fighter did the same shit back in the old days.
No, Street Fighter.
They still do it.
Shit. Yeah,
Ultra Street Fighter 2. Come on.
Street Fighter's doing it right now.
The final challengers.
Well, what about Ultra Street Fighter 5 that's coming out next year?
Oh my God!
As we speak.
I mean, come on. I mean, you even look at like SF. You look at SF4. SF4 was like BS because you had SF4, then you had Super SF4, and you had Super SF4 Arcade Edition, and you had Art Ultra. Like,
then
what?
You had the collector's
Ultra
edition.
Arcade Edition.
Yeah, with the collector's pack or whatever. It's like, so games, there have been games that have been doing this for a while. It's just, the thing about it is, I think we give Pokemon a pass because there's like little things they can add to it, like regional variants, obviously. You can only get a Pokemon in this game versus this game. So in Pokemon Platinum, I say it's the least offender of Diamond and Pearl. I mean, like, it's the most offensive in terms of, like, repetitiveness, but I would rather play Platinum than Diamond and Pearl just because they have different regional variant Pokemon. I don't have to just sit and get either Ponyta or Infernape.
I like how it's just two X attacks in a row. It doesn't even do any attack.
Yeah.
It can't do anything.
But, see, because that was the whole internal kind of struggle. It's like, I agree that it's a shitty practice. At the same time, it's like I've kind of gotten past the point of getting angry about it. It's just one of those things I acknowledge. But then the situation is, well, why don't you buy the game used, right? Like, why are you supporting a shitty business practice?
Yeah, it's like, why? I guess one of the things that we can take away from this is Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon has a specific story triggered towards the Ultra Beast and Necrozma. And we as players want to experience that story. So we have to get the game. Otherwise, we're just going to be out of the loop for several months until the cutscenes come in.
Well, it's not even gonna be several months.
Yeah, I would say probably the day of. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be either be a day, it'll be
30
days
seconds.
before.
The day after.
Actually, no. For all we know, if I'm correct, they're gonna do a. Actually, no. I'll actually save that for when we go to the next part because we only have like 19 seconds left. But I guess.
it's like-
Speaking of that, I'll see you there.
Yeah. No, we still have 14 seconds to at least. Pack
Yeah,
up
but I
for
said I feel like you did that preemptively. You should have
it.
waited.
Yeah, man. You should have waited.
Richie, you should have waited.
Yeah, tune in for Pokemon Blue Arcade Edition Deluxe Chapter.
Turn it off. We're done.